Imagine this. You're sitting across from someone who seems perfectly normal. They smile, they speak politely, they even seem kind. But then, without warning, something shifts. A violent word, a manipulative gesture, an eerie coldness in their eyes. You walk away thinking, what just happened? Who was that person really? Carl Jung, one of the most influential psychologists of the 20th century, believed that beneath the surface of every individual lies a complex constellation of psychological forces, powerful, invisible archetypes that govern behavior, emotion, and even destiny. Some of these forces guide us toward individuation, the path to becoming whole. Others, if ignored, become internal saboteurs. When they take full possession of a person, they become truly terrifying. In this exploration, we'll uncover 5 of the most dangerous psychological personalities Jung warned us about. These are not personality types in the modern sense, but archetypal constellations, living psychic patterns that, when left unconscious, distort human behavior in frightening and destructive ways. They're not just people to avoid, they are parts of ourselves we must confront. If we don't, they will confront us. The shadow possessed. There is a figure within the psyche that lurks in silence, feeding on what we reject, deny, or refuse to acknowledge in ourselves. Jung called it the shadow. It holds all we deem shameful, primitive, or socially unacceptable: rage, jealousy, lust, weakness. The terrifying truth? The more we repress it, the more powerful it becomes, not less human but more raw, more instinctual. When someone is possessed by the shadow, they lose the ability to distinguish self from impulse. They erupt without warning, project their denied darkness onto others, and live as though the enemy is always outside, never within. They often appear charismatic or assertive, but their behavior is volatile, reactive, and deeply rooted in fear. These individuals are especially destructive in intimate relationships, where emotional masks cannot hold forever. Their aggression is not calculated, it's primal. Their sense of righteousness masks a terrifying unconsciousness. They are lost to themselves, yet certain of their virtue. Jung taught that we must integrate the shadow, not destroy it. But the shadow-possessed are too afraid of vulnerability to begin this work. They deny their inner chaos and project it outward, onto partners, systems, society. They are not only dangerous to themselves, but to everyone around them. The inflated persona. Some people shine in public. They're magnetic, eloquent, polished. But behind the charm lies something hollow, a self lost behind the persona, the mask we wear to navigate society. Jung warned that the persona, while necessary, becomes dangerous when mistaken for the self. These individuals are admired, even envied. But their speech is rehearsed, their emotions curated. They thrive in settings where authenticity isn't required. Behind closed doors they may feel empty, anxious, or numb. The danger lies in over-identification. The deeper the mask, the more terrifying the truth beneath. These people often confuse performance with identity. They fear intimacy because they've lost contact with their true self. What appears as confidence is often brittle compensation. They may be overly agreeable, excessively polite, camouflaged by positivity. Over time, this repression leads to neurosis, burnout, or emotional collapse. Healing begins by shedding the illusion. To become whole, we must risk being seen, not the perfect image, but the raw, uncertain self beneath. The psychic vampire, the devourer. They don't yell, they don't threaten. They often seem gentle, even fragile, but after spending time with them, you feel drained, confused, hollow. This is no accident. It is energetic theft. Jung didn't use the term psychic vampire, but he recognized the pattern. These individuals feed on the vitality of others to avoid confronting their own inner void. Their wounds are deep, their boundaries blurred, their sense of self undeveloped. They seek relationships not for connection but for nourishment. They appear needy, flattering, vulnerable, but over time, their demands escalate. Your energy becomes their fuel. You become responsible for their emotions, their choices, even their identity. This isn't love, it's possession. The danger is in the subtlety. These individuals manipulate through guilt, passivity, crisis, or dependency, and they often don't realize they're doing it. At the core lies childhood trauma, abandonment, neglect, invalidation. Jung might say they lack a psychic center. They attach to others, hoping to be whole, but no amount of love or attention will ever fill the void. To protect yourself is not cruelty, it's necessity. You cannot heal someone who refuses to face themselves. Their journey is theirs alone. The tyrant Senex, the shadow of the wise old man. In myth and psychology, the Senex is the wise old man, mature, thoughtful, disciplined. But when this archetype is distorted, it becomes the tyrant, rigid, controlling, emotionally barren. The tyrant Senex clings to order and tradition. Structure is sacred. Emotion is weakness. These individuals thrive in systems, religion, government, academia, but they do not adapt. They dictate. They suppress joy, spontaneity, and vulnerability in favor of control. Beneath their moral superiority lies fear, fear of uncertainty, of chaos, of being wrong. Their logic masks anxiety. Their wisdom lacks soul. They are dangerous in positions of power. Their rigidity becomes law. Their fear shapes policy, family dynamics, even society. They do not listen. They command. And yet, deep inside, they long for softness, but are too afraid to allow it. Jung reminds us, true wisdom is humble, open, flexible. The antidote to the tyrant Senex is the archetype of the pure Eternus, the eternal youth who brings imagination and renewal. To heal, the tyrant must rediscover play, emotion, and the unknown. The lost pure, the eternal boy. Charming, imaginative, magnetic. The pure Eternus is the eternal youth, a dreamer who sees life as an adventure. But when unbalanced, this archetype becomes dangerous, irresponsible, avoidant, ungrounded. The distorted pure refuses to grow up. He fears commitment, routine, limits. He may be brilliant and artistic, but struggles to follow through. Relationships with him are intoxicating, then frustrating. He flees when things get real. He promises everything, delivers little. Often he carries a deep mother complex, a longing to be cared for, shielded from the world. He attracts partners who become caretakers, sacrificing their own needs. Over time, resentment grows. The pure feels trapped. The partner feels abandoned. The pure wants flight without gravity, transcendence without sacrifice. But Jung warned, without roots, nothing can grow. The pure must descend into life, responsibility, suffering. If he does, he transforms. He becomes a carrier of renewal, a man not in age but in soul. But it requires the death of illusion and the courage to stay. These terrifying personalities, the shadow-possessed, the inflated persona, the psychic vampire, the tyrant Senex, and the lost pure, are not just found in others. They live in us. They shape our relationships, our patterns, our fears. Jung did not identify these archetypes to judge others, but to illuminate the hidden terrain of the soul. His goal was never to exile the darkness, but to integrate it, to bring it into consciousness where healing begins. To recognize these patterns in others is awareness. To recognize them in ourselves is transformation. Individuation, the path to wholeness, requires confrontation, naming the shadow, removing the mask, withdrawing projection, softening rigidity, grounding the flight. It is not easy. It is often painful, but it is sacred. The world may urge us to perform, to conform, to distract, but Jung invites us inward, to face what we fear, to reclaim what we've lost, to become whole. The terrifying personalities are not merely dangers, they are invitations, calls from the unconscious to wake up, to evolve, to become human. So when you meet someone who unsettles you, who radiates charm, darkness, control, or escape, ask not only, what's wrong with them, but also, what are they showing me about myself? Because the greatest danger is not out there, it is what we refuse to see within.